Being all those things together is not easy, so I'm basically a ticking time bomb.
Belief.
Lori Vallow Daybell was born on the 26th of June, 1973 in San Bernardino, California, born as Lori Noreen Cox and has 3 children named Tylee Ryan, Colby Ryan and Joshua Vallow. As a child, Lori had grown up within the LDS Church and has 3 siblings, 2 brothers called Alex and Adam and 1 sister named Summer. Lori had been married twice in the 90s. In 1992, at the age of 19, she got married to her high school boyfriend named Nelson Yanes. They both divorced later on. She then got married again at the age of 22 to a man named William, in Texas. They had 1 son together who they named Colby, but their marriage was short-lived as the couple divorced in 1998. After the year 2000, Lori was married a further 3 times, the first being in 2001 with her marriage to Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr. Joseph had been really nice, even legally adopting Lori's son Colby from her previous marriage. Lori and Joseph found out they were having a baby together and had already picked out a name for their baby. Lori was both excited and delighted when she found out she was having a girl. Their daughter, Tylee, was born in 2002. Not long after giving birth to Tylee, Lori entered the Mrs. Texas pageant and made a statement saying being a good mom is very important to me, and a good wife and a good worker, and being all those things together is not easy, so I'm basically a ticking time bomb. Lori had also been a contestant on Wheel of Fortune and has claimed that she only went on the game show because God had told her beforehand that she would be on it. Around these years, Lori had been working as a hairstylist. Although their marriage had been happy at first, Joseph had quickly turned abusive, becoming angry at anything Colby would do and on occasions would punch the back of Colby's head. It came out that Joseph had been sexually abusing Colby, which was spoken about in depth by Lori in one of her podcasts. Because of the abuse, the couple got divorced in 2005. Joseph's abuse on the family had had a massive impact on their lives, and this had caused a fight. In 2007, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, attacked Joseph by tasering him and threatening to murder Joseph. Alex said his reason for attacking Joseph was down to the abuse that his sister Lori and the children, Tylee and Colby, had to endure at the hands of Joseph. Alex Cox had to serve 90 days in a Texas jail for this attack. On the 3rd of April, 2018, at the age of 59, Joseph Ryan was found dead during a welfare check at his Phoenix residence. His death was caused by a heart attack. Lori married Charles Vallow on the 24th of February, 2006. He had 2 sons from his previous marriage. Sometime in 2013, the couple adopted Charles's grandnephew, Joshua Vallow, referred to as J.J. His biological parents had substance issues at the time and couldn't care for J.J., and with his grandparents being too old to care for him, the grandparents offered Charles and Lori the opportunity to adopt J.J. Charles Vallow had taken care of Colby and Tylee as if they were his own children, showing them love and kindness and being a father figure to them both. Charles was described as a really kind and charming man. They all moved to Hawaii in December 2014, and Lori had thought she would be living there for the rest of her life, but they only ended up staying in Hawaii for 3 years. During their time in Hawaii, the LDS Church was the main topic in their house, with their pictures being replaced with temple pictures and having every item in their house religiously themed. Charles had tried to take an interest in Lori's beliefs by trying his best to learn about them and trying to understand the concepts and views he wasn't familiar with, as he wanted to please Lori and make her happy, always doing his best to catch up with Lori and her religious beliefs. Although Charles constantly made efforts to please Lori and learn about her religious beliefs, Lori was always complaining about Charles to her friend, saying that she felt like Charles was holding her back and she didn't see Charles as spiritually equal to her. During this time, she had mentioned to her friend that she was in regular contact with an angel and how she doesn't get much sleep because angels were waking her up all the time, giving her instructions on how to spread God's work. Lori and their family moved back to Chandler, Arizona soon after. After moving back to Arizona, Colby got engaged, which should have been a joyous moment. But Lori was angry and made it clear she didn't like Colby's fiancée, going so far as to accuse her of trying to take Colby away from the LDS church because Colby and his fiancée had attended a Christian church at some point together, making Lori sad and upset. His fiancée felt as though Lori was passive-aggressive and extremely manipulative, often manipulating situations to make Colby feel bad, and would often compete for Colby's love and attention against Colby's fiancée. Lori had made a strange comment to his fiancée once, saying, "Jesus loves you, but he loves me the most." Once Colby married his fiancée, Lori became more sad in herself and became convinced that the end times were coming and that she needed to desperately prepare for that, becoming obsessed and stockpiling food and tents. Lori started reading a series of books called Standing in Holy Places, written by Chad Daybell. In 2018, she finally met Chad Daybell when she attended an event with her friend, Melanie. She stayed in contact with Chad Daybell, and by that weekend, Chad convinced Lori that they had both been married to each other in 7 past lifetimes. A few weeks after Lori and Chad had met, Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, went on a business trip, so Lori decided to have an overnight meetup at her house, which was attended by people including Chad Daybell and her friend Melanie. That night, Chad had been showering Lori with attention and discussing his religious beliefs to Lori and the guests, claiming he has lived 31 different lives on various planets like Earth. He then explained that he has a system where he can tell if a light person or a dark person, light people being followers of Jesus and dark individuals are Satan followers and are actually zombies. Chad said that Lori is an eternal person who has already lived 21 lives, 5 of which have been on Earth. Chad's beliefs are what attracted Lori to Chad Daybell, and they both held Mormon apocalyptic beliefs. These things were always spoken about in Chad's podcasts and his books. They told Melanie they both belonged to a certain church which has been associated as a Doomsday cult. Chad's strange behavior had begun when he had once jumped off of a cliff and bumped his head of a rock, then claimed that he had a near-death experience and since then has been able to see visions of the future. By February 2019, Lori told her husband, Charles, that she didn't care about him and their adopted son J.J. anymore. She then claimed to be the reincarnated wife of the LDS founder Joseph Smith. After this, she went missing for 58 days. That same month, Charles filed for divorce, stating that his wife had threatened to murder him, taken $35,000 out of their joint bank account, and stole his truck. Charles was in fear for his life and filed for an order of protection against Lori because she had told Charles, "I will kill you because you're not Charles and nobody will care." Lori then said that Charles is an imposter really called Ned Snyder.
Can't get in touch with my kids.
How old are your kids?
6.5 and 16. Okay.
How long have you been trying?
2 days.
Okay.
But she's lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a God, and remember the 144,000. Jesus is coming next year. She took all the money out of her bank account today. My truck is gone from the airport. She went to the airport and got it. I just flew in from Dallas. Houston and Dallas. So
Where's your truck? So what makes her a danger to herself and to others?
She threatened me, murder me, kill me.
She threatened to murder you?
Yes. And she said,
How did she do that?
She said, "You're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers."
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Says I'm gonna kill you too. Yesterday was I'm
So
gonna
she's
kill
speaking as a spiritual being.
you. She's not here. She's lost her reality.
Charles Vallow had called police when he was unable to get in touch with Tylee and J.J., and how Lori was a danger to their kids.
And is he hurt, or is he alive, or?
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
How long ago did this happen?
A couple of minutes. 20.
And just repeat the address to confirm it.
5531 South Four Peaks.
And what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
Okay, what part of his body is injured?
On the 11th of July, 2019, after coming to Lori's house to pick up J.J. to take him out for the day, Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Alex claimed to police that he had killed Charles in self-defense after Charles had allegedly attacked him with a bat. While this fight or shooting had taken place, Lori took J.J and Tylee out of the house and drove to Burger King, dropped J.J at school, then brought herself some flip-flops, before returning home to police at her house. Alex Cox had a laceration to the back of his head, and Charles Vallow was found to have been shot 2 times, with the second shot happening after Charles was laying on the ground. Police took no further action against Alex Cox. After Charles's death, his attorney said that Charles was so concerned for J.J. and Tylee's safety that he had filed a petition but had to remove Tylee from the petition as he wasn't related to her biologically and had no legal standing.
He was just yelling at me.
Okay, what was he yelling at you about?
About my sister, because I've broken up a tussle with them earlier. And he told me not to interfere anymore with them or I'd pay. And he came at me with a bat.
Okay, so he showed up in the house with a bat in his hand?
No.
Okay, so...
There was a scuffle earlier with my sister and my niece. My niece got involved.
About earlier meaning earlier this week, earlier
No,
this morning?
just this morning, before they left.
Before your wife left?
My sister.
Before your sister left?
Yeah.
Okay, who lives here with you?
Nobody. I don't live here. My sister lives here and my niece lives here.
And you're just visiting?
I was visiting for the night.
Okay, so you're over here visiting your sister and your niece?
Yes.
Okay, and there was a tussle between your sister and her husband?
Yes.
And does the husband live here or no?
No.
Okay.
Lives in Houston.
Okay, is he an ex-husband or just current husband?
They're working on that.
Gotcha. So at some point earlier today, they get into some type of domestic?
Yeah, just this morning, then they left, and then he came at me.
They left meaning who? Both of parties?
Yeah, my sister took my niece and my nephew.
Okay, so they left.
To create some space for him, and then he came at me.
Okay, but did he leave also?
No.
He stayed here?
He stayed.
So you guys are kind of talking in between or what? Who are you? Who are you? No, just go back. I appreciate that. How did he get here?
Is he here from Texas? No, that's my sister's car. I think he came in a rental car. I think his sister's in it.
You think your sister's in the rental car? Okay. So you both, so you get in an argument? What is it over?
Well, it was over my sister. He was getting physical with her, and so my niece came out with her bat, and then he took the bat away from her.
Wait a minute, I thought you said your niece left.
She did. This was before.
Okay, so before your sister and your niece left,
Yeah.
at some point your sister and her husband are arguing,
Yes.
verbal argument, and then your niece pulls out a bat?
Well, it wasn't verbal. He was getting close, and she came out to defend my sister with her bat.
Your niece?
Yes.
Okay.
And then she poked at him, and then he took it away.
Okay.
And then I stepped in and told them they needed to separate.
Right.
So then my sister leaves with my niece.
And how long ago did they leave? It's been like an hour, 10 minutes?
20 minutes maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So not terribly long.
No.
Oh, okay.
And then he's coming back at me, and he's still got the bat in his hand. I'm like, what are you doing?
And where are you at it? Where are you both
in the
at?
living room.
Okay.
And then I turned around, and he hit me in the back of the head with the bat. So I went to my room and got my gun. I always carry it.
You went to your room, meaning the room you're staying in?
Yeah.
Okay, and you brought a gun with you?
Yes.
Do you always bring a gun?
I have a concealed carry always.
Okay.
Just to be safe.
Hi, who are you? Okay, just stand over there for just a second, guys.
And then I told him to put the bat down, and he wouldn't, and he came at me again.
The wife just showed up.
Lori contacted her son Colby to tell him Charles, the man he had seen as a father figure, had died. She told Colby that as Charles had arrived to collect J.J., he had a heart attack and died. She then contacts J.J.'s school and tells them how Charles has just died by suicide. Shortly after, she texts Charles' 2 sons from his previous marriage to let them know their dad has passed away. But when they message back asking what happened to him, where is he and how did he die, she continues to avoid answering their questions, and takes hours to reply to them to say she will call them another time, and never ends up telling his sons how their father died or where his body is. She then makes a call to make a claim for his life insurance policy.
Are you calling in reference to a death claim?
Yes.
Okay, one moment, please. May I have the name of the insured?
L. Charles Vallow.
And who am I speaking with?
This is Lori Vallow.
And your relationship to the insured?
He's my husband.
Okay, one moment. Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to need to ask you a few questions so that I can open the claim, and then I can go over the claim procedure with you and answer any questions that you may have afterwards.
That would be great.
Okay, first of all, may I have your daytime phone number, please?
Sure. It's
And what was the date of Mr. Vallow's passing?
July 11th.
And what was the cause of his passing?
Well, he was shot.
Okay.
So I don't know how I want to put that.
Okay. All right. And I hate to ask, but is it?
Yeah,
you can just say yes or no. Was it a homicide?
No, it was an accident.
An accident. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what state did he pass away in?
Arizona.
Okay. All right, just bear with me for one moment. I just need to pull up a few other things.
Lori later found out that Charles had changed the beneficiary to his life insurance policy in March. Lori later texts Chad that it was likely the imposter Ned that had taken over Charles's body that made him change his life insurance policy before she got rid of Charles. On the 19th of October, 2019, Tammy Daybell, the wife on Chad Daybell, died at the age of 49 in her home. Earlier, a man in a ski mask had shot a gun at her, but the bullet missed her. Chad had texted Lori to say that Tammy is now in limbo because she had not died yet and that a level 3 demonic entity was in Tammy's body now. After her death, Chad received $430,000 from her life insurance policy. Soon after, Lori told Colby that she is moving to a colder area with Tylee and J.J. When everyone of the family, including Colby and their grandmother, had gathered to say goodbye to Lori, Tylee and J.J., Tylee spent most of the time crying and stayed silent, which was not like her, as she had always been a happy and brave person. After they had moved, Colby would text Tylee's phone but would only receive texts back, never answer his phone calls, and the texts never sounded like Tylee. One time, Colby confronted Lori about this and Lori tried to convince him that Tylee was just busy with school and her new friends. Colby and his fiancée started to look into all of this, when they realized they had an old email from Charles which contained a list that Chad had made about everyone in their family and friends group who Chad had labeled as either light spirits or dark spirits, and on that list, Tylee was on there and had been referred to as a dark spirit. To Chad, if he saw you as a dark spirit, that person was a zombie and needed to be killed. It came out that Lori and Chad had been making plans on getting rid of all the zombies, and had called her brother Alex Cox, to tell him that their other brother, Adam, was now a zombie too. J.J.'s biological grandmother, Kay, grew concerned and worried when she couldn't get in contact with J.J. She called the police, and police attended Lori's new address in Idaho on the 26th of November, 2019. Police first made contact with Alex Cox at Lori's residence and Chad Daybell was standing behind Alex. Police asked them where J.J. was and Alex said he was staying with his grandmother Kay in Louisiana. Police told Alex that would be highly unlikely as Kay was the one who called in for this welfare check to happen. When police finally made contact with Lori, she claimed that J.J. was with her friend in Arizona. The day after the welfare check was done, Lori and Chad went on the run, and on the 5th of November, 2019, Chad and Lori got married in Hawaii without telling any of their family or friends, even though her 2 children were missing. Chad and Lori were eventually found in Hawaii by law enforcement 4 months after her kids were last seen. Tylee and J.J were last ever pictures at Yellowstone National Park with Lori and Alex Cox on the September 8, 2019. Becoming suspicious of all of these events, police decided to exhume Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy's body. 1 day later, Alex Cox passed out and died in his girlfriend's house. An autopsy showed he had thrombosis blood clots in his lungs and his death was from natural causes. After Alex died, the FBI were able to use his cell phone data and phone pings, tracing his steps to Chad Daybell's property back in September when J.J and Tylee went missing. Alex Cox's phone locates him in Chad Daybell's backyard for 2.5 hours on the 9th. Law enforcement headed to Chad Daybell's house in Salem, Idaho, to serve a search warrant. Chad was home while police searched his backyard. He got in his car and drove off really fast, but was caught by police within minutes and arrested, and Lori was already in jail at this time. Human remains were found in a fire pit in Chad Daybell's backyard. J.J.'s were the first to be identified and the second were identified as belonging to Tylee. Chad entered a plea of not guilty and Lori was being held at a medical facility after being found unfit to stand trial. After exhuming Tammy Daybell's body, it was found she had died by asphyxiation from another person. Prosecutors announced they are seeking the death penalty for Chad Daybell. It was later revealed that Tylee's body had been dismembered and partially burned, all in 3 separate sealed bags, her autopsy taking 1 week to complete, and at first, due to the condition of her remains, a cause of death could not be determined, but after careful examination by a forensic anthropologist, who testified that she saw evidence of thermal damage to Tylee's bones and noticed sharp trauma to Tylee's pubis which had not been caused by the dismemberment. A forensic anthropologist determined J.J.'s cause of death to be asphyxiation from having a bag duct taped over his head, duct taped around his face multiple times down to his neck. By April 2022, Lori was found fit to stand trial and released from the mental health facility into the custody of the Fremont Sheriff. Lori's trial began on the 3rd of April, 2023 and commenced May 12, 2023. She was found guilty on all charges relating to the death of her children. Chad Daybell is currently waiting to go on trial. The biological mother of J.J. Vallow, Mandy Ledger, was left completely devastated at the death of her son. She had spent years hoping that one day she would be able to have a relationship with her son, but she never had that chance to, and in June of 2022, Mandy Ledger passed away at the age of 46 in Louisiana.
It's my heart. It's killing my soul. I just want those kids back.